In this episode of PowerShell Wednesday, I am joined by Joshua Deering, who's going to be showing us how to create a website using GitHub Pages. He'll show us that. He's going to show us also a way of using it with Obsidian, which is a really cool tool to check out. And if you want to catch more, join us every single Wednesday at PowerShell Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to learn more from Fortress, aka Joshua Deering, check him out on the PowerShell podcast. He did an interview right after this presentation you're about to watch.
All right. Yeah. So I'm far from an expert on this, but I just want to go through a workflow that I established, and then we'll take you through it. If you've never dealt with GitHub Pages, that's fine. If you've never dealt with GitHub, that's fine. We're assuming absolutely no experience here to get started. So if you haven't already, I recommend signing up for GitHub, creating an account. This here, I have a dummy account that I've created just to demonstrate from the absolute bare minimum. So GitHub Pages is a free service offered by GitHub that lets you host a static website directly from your GitHub repository. You don't have to have a stand up a web server. You don't have to do anything. You're taking advantage of what GitHub offers for free. It is a great tool. You can use it for a project website. You can use it for a blog. You can use it all kinds of things. If you're just trying to get information out there, highly recommend it. All right. So first off, we're going to go through a real basic build just to get an idea of how it works, and then we're going to get a little bit more complicated and introduce Jekyll. But for now, so we create a repository. This is not, like I said, my GitHub account. If you want to follow me on GitHub, and I do not put much in it. But Deering Dev is my GitHub handle, and you can find me on Blue Sky with that as well. But you need your repository name to be your username, your GitHub username, and github.github.io. We'll just do this. That's just going to be a personal blog. Optional description, make sure it's public. You don't have to do any of these, so you can choose a license, all that if you want to, but we'll just go for the bare minimum right now. So we'll go and create a repository. All right, so we've got a repo set up. Now we need to actually put something in it. So you can go in here and edit directly from within GitHub. Do not recommend that. We're gonna use VS Code on our local machine. By the way, this is Windows Sandbox. If you've never used it before, highly recommend. It's a great way to test out things. If you're a PDQ customer and you're needing to test silent installation parameters and stuff, it is extremely useful for that. So to use Git, we're going to need, push things to GitHub, we're going to need Git. Well, we're not going to do this here. Okay, you can download it. Yep. All right, we're going to install Git. I'm going to stick with most of the defaults here. Only a couple changes is Vim scares me. Not a big Linux guy. I dabble more than most, but I'm going to set this Visual Studio Code as my default editor, and I'm going to set main as the default branch name. Doesn't matter for the tutorial here, but just letting you know. All right, everything else, yep, straight defaults. We've got Git, we're about to have Git installed. If you already have one open, a window open right here, after it finishes, you're going to see this isn't going to work. So we're going to need to close and reopen your window. Now you can verify that Git is installed. All right, so we have Git here. Let's go ahead and take care of some housekeeping. We're going to do, we need to set an identity. So whenever you push things to Git or GitHub, you need something that tracks your changes, or that you need to set an author, you need to set your username. GitHub needs to know who you are when you send stuff up. So we're going to run a couple commands here. I'll use set the username here. Let's set our email. Please don't email me at this because I'm not going to check it. All right, we've got that out of the way. So now we are ready to clone our repository. So we can git clone. And if you're uncertain of where this is, you can see right here. So we can just go ahead and copy this. So we're gonna git clone. All right. Yep. We actually just cloned an empty repository. There's nothing there. We haven't put anything up, but it is an empty repository. We do have Git with it though. So we need to navigate into our repository here. Oh, stop me if anybody has questions. I'm not reading the chat very well. Sorry. Oh no. Okay. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. All right. So now we are in our Git repository. Um, and let's create just a basic HTML file. And then we're gonna use VS Code here. Oh gosh. Yep. 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 We don't need any of this. All right. So now we have our. It's a little bit better. Excellent. All right. We're gonna create a simple HTML file. We've got our header is going to be blah blah blah's law blog. Try saying that 10 times fast. Any Rust development fans out there? Blah 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 is one of the best lawyers around. But he's going to be the header for our website today. Be sure to save. Control S here. Save your thing. All right, now we need to stage our changes in Git. So it's going to be. You can add an individual file name, but if you're doing a lot of different things, you can do git add period, and that'll add everything and stage it. So you can see here we have our changes to be committed is going to be this index HTML file. Now we're ready to commit that change. So we're going to do git commit, add in a message, added index.html. All right. Now we've added a message to that change. We still haven't pushed it yet. So if we go back over into our web browser, click on here, there's nothing here yet. So now we need to git push and push these changes up here. Oh, yep. If you haven't signed in through the command line, you're gonna be prompted here. We're gonna sign in with the browser. We are good to go. All right. And now that we're up here, we see we have our index.html file up on GitHub. So we've made our first commit up here. And actually, we have a functional website right now if everything's good. So let's go to. Oh, gotta wait a little bit. Takes a second. Ah, there we go. All right. Yep, we have blah blah blah's law blog. I challenge everybody to say that. Really, just take some time. Blah blah blah's law blog. I was telling Andrew about this. I wonder how many times I'm gonna go through this and mess this up, but so far so good. This is a beautiful. All right, this is a beautiful website. It's got all the information you could ever need, right? We're happy with this. This is what peak web design looks like, right? Um, I'm not a web developer. I think my graphic design skills peaked with Microsoft Paint years ago. So let's introduce Jekyll. So Jekyll is a static site generator. It has a thriving community. There are so many themes out there that you can steal from that are just way better. I'm not gonna say way better than anything you can create, but it's way better than anything I can create. And they have a ton of themes that you can go. This is if you just search Jekyll themes on GitHub, you can go through a ton and find a lot of stuff. Today I'm going to be using Chirpy, this Chirpy theme here. You can see quite a few stars, relatively minimal. It is it looks really nice. So let's get started with that. So I'm going to delete this repository here because we're going to take advantage of a starter template that they have. This developer offers this starter template that we can use to create our repository. So going back, I'm going to delete this repository here. I know we worked really hard on this. Blah blah blah's law blog is a fantastic. I mean, hold on. Let's just go look at this one more time because it's never going to be the same. We're going to warn you, blah blah blah's law blog. All right, we're going to delete this repository. So they offer this template here, this public template. So we can create a repository using this template, and it's going to pull everything over, and it sets the history to nothing there. So templates are cool. You can fork the repository. They maintain the history of all the work that's done before, but a template starts with a new Git history. And that's actually what they recommend. So they have a getting started page here for Chirpy. They have a read the documentation. If you're ever looking at anything, go through the documentation. It's fantastic. There are people that put a lot of work in to the products that they put out there. So we're gonna follow along here. So the recommended starter template, like I said, they have it up here. We were on that page. You can click now that we've deleted this repository. Yep, nothing here. Yep, we can click use this template, create a new repository, and like I said, we got to set this same name. All right. So this is going to generate the repository. While that goes through, I'm going to go back here to, where was I? I don't know. Okay. Anyways, it is ready. So we've got this going. We're going to go ahead and pull down. All right. So I'm changing over to documents right now, and just in lieu of deleting the other one. If we try to clone to where we were previously, we would create another subdirectory. If we navigated back up, we would try to clone into an already existing one. So you can delete it. I'm just moving to a new location for simplicity. All right, so now we are going to go back and let's just clone our repository again. All right. So we're going to see here that directory has been created. You're going to see there are all of these items here. So let's just open it up in VS Code and take a poke around and see what they've got. All right. So a couple things to note here. They've got a README. They've got a git ignore that already works with this repository, things that are ignored that don't need to be pushed back up to GitHub. I've got this configuration.yaml file that's going to be where you set a lot of information. That is kind of the overarching information for your website. You've got where you can throw posts. You've got where you can throw your assets, pictures, things like that. All kinds of things. But we're not actually just ready to go yet. Jekyll has some dependencies. This theme has some dependencies. They discuss it here on their getting started page of what we need to do. They have a couple different ways of doing it. The recommended way, which I'm not going to do today, is dev containers. And then they have where you can set it up natively by installing the dependencies. So the dependencies for this aren't too bad. So we'll go through and grab those. They have it for what installation or what operating system you're on. So we're going to go ahead and install Ruby is a programming language. Jekyll is built on Ruby, so we're going to need Ruby. Let's see, the latest recommended one right now, as they say, the latest 3.3.x. This is going to be 3.3.8.1 right now. Just going to go ahead and install Ruby. Yes, we're going to keep these. I don't know if y'all can hear my cat in the background, but anytime I start talking in the office, my cats start yelling. I've got my cats kicked out of here because they'll walk all over the keyboard. And maybe we'll bring them on after we're done with this. All right. Anything in chat that I need to address? Jekyll isn't the only one. There's Hugo out there. Oh gosh, there's 11D. There's all kinds of stuff out there. It's fantastic. And I encourage you to look into it. I mean, if Jekyll doesn't seem to offer what you want, take a look at the others. All right, so I just went with absolute defaults on Ruby, but we're still not done yet. We've got to do a couple more things. We've got Ruby installed, and now we actually need to install Jekyll as well. So from actually, we're going to need to go ahead and open a new prompt here. So I don't think we can see. Yeah. And so if you're ever going through, and you're not sure. Yeah. So we got a new window here. Ruby's installed. Now we need to install Jekyll. If I can type. And so this we'll go through and install Jekyll and Bundler. Bundler helps install all the other dependencies. We're going to have to run one more after this to get the dependencies that this particular theme needs. So I know it says this can take a while. It's actually not that bad. I've gone through this a few times. We'll keep good time. I'll say, like I said, this theme is very well documented, which is part of the reason I chose it. You can also, they talk about where you can do some embeds and things like that in their text and typography. So embedding videos. I believe I even read that you can make it autoplay. So if you want to bring back MySpace, not too far off. I really thought about rickrolling everybody here, but I decided to be nice. All right, let's see. You know, I hate when it appears like an install just hangs up and you go back and you press enter and everything starts going again. Does anybody have a reason for that? Anybody?
So there's actually a feature called quick edit mode in terminals that will make it so like if you click, it'll pause the terminal. So yeah, if you right click properties, you can look into that, but it is quick edit mode that causes a lot of pain.
Like that was literally the slowest install I've ever seen for this. All right, so now let's go back to our documents. All right, so we've got Jekyll installed. We've got Gem. We've got Ruby installed. We've got Jekyll installed. We can double check with Jekyll here. Oh, okay, yeah. We're just It's missing things. It's complaining because it's missing things. We're about to do that though. All right. So we need to run bundle in the root of our directory. And this will. So what this is doing right now is it's looking at, not that one. It's looking at this gem file and saying, all right, I've got other things that I need. So it's going through and grabbing those things now. All right. I mean, just take a look at this theme. Isn't it nice? Get all your posts here, your categories. Mm-hmm. Your timeline. Oh, ah, all right. None of that. Epilepsy warning. All right, we have installed the dependencies now. So all of the yeah, we've got 5 gem file dependencies found, and there's now 67 gems now installed. All right, so we are actually pretty darn close to, I won't say being done, but we can actually go ahead and start building this and taking a look at what we have now. So you can run bundle exec Jekyll serve or s. And this is going to start a local server here. Now, I'm not in Windows Terminal, so this is not a hyperlink. But now we have the website running on our local machine. As you can see, there's nothing in it because we just download the starter template. There's no content other than what is set by default. So let's change that. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the server and pop over to VS Code. And let's go take a look at that config.yaml file. All right, let's go ahead and set our time zone. I am Central Time. So you can see right here, you got your time zone picker. Can everybody read that a little bit better? All right. Can anybody guess what the title is going to be?
Bob Loblaw's Loblog.
Blah, blah, blah's blog. That's right. You don't need double talk. You need blah, blah, blah. Now, Andrew, I'm going to have to get you to say this one.
A law blog by Bob Loblaw.
You got to go faster. A law blog by blah, blah, blah law firm.
A law blog by blah, blah, blah.
There's not a, actually, there's not a Twitter handle there. I'm going to set our name, socials. Let's see. Is there anything else we should change for the time being? Oh, I guess we need to set our URL. All right. Building locally can save your sanity sometimes. It can also make you go a little bit insane too, because sometimes the local build differs just ever so slightly from what goes up. So I've got some stories about that whenever we get a little bit later in the talk. All right, so we've got our config file. Let's go ahead and save these changes here. And then let's go to posts here. Let's make a new post. So it's looking for Markdown files. There are other extensions that accepts, but we'll stick for Markdown. And that it expects it in a certain format too. So it wants it in a date. It doesn't want a future date either. So we'll do 0430 and then first post.md. All right, so this is a Markdown file. Markdown is absolutely fantastic. Um, at work, we've been trying to get more things into Markdown, especially when it comes to documentation or policies, because being able to diff between those things and storing them in source control is fantastic. So if you have your stuff stored in as PDFs, I'd recommend trying to look at like how to take a markdown file and convert it to PDF to put it out there, but then keeping everything sourced in Markdown because it is just so much more powerful. Um, and then if you ever use DocuWiki's Markdown is not the same Markdown as everywhere else, and they're very frustrating. All right, so we're going to create a Markdown file here. This is going to be our first post. Now, Jekyll expects front matter for each post. Front matter is a selection at the top of a Markdown file, and it's enclosed between like 3 dashes. And think of it like metadata for a file. So I'm going to pull in some here. So we're going to have a title. It's going to be a first post. It's going to be the date. I guess technically, we'll come back here. And honestly, I don't know what time it is, but you can set your categories, you can set your tags, and no spaces in these. But this is going to be the front matter for the file, and Jekyll wants to read that to know what to put in as the header for this. So now we're going to do just a little bit of Markdown. So heading 1, this is some text. We're going to have a heading 2. Got ordered lists. All right, and VS Code actually has a little Markdown preview one, so you can kind of see what we're going on here. And as you can see, that front matter isn't picked up in what it is. So that's just storing metadata. All right. Now let's go back and start our browser again. Or did it ever close? Nope, it didn't close. So the reason we're having to restart, actually while you run it, you can make live changes. But if you make any changes to the config.yaml file, you're going to have to restart because it won't read those changes. Let's go ahead and just see if it's up here. Oh, yeah, like I said, so we made changes to the config YAML file. It's going to be this area over here, but the post is picking up here. Not quite yet, though, because we didn't save. All right, let's try that again. I think we're going to have to kill it. All right. We've smothered it. We've brought the process back. And now you can see your changes. So like I said, that config.yaml file is going to set things for on this other side here. Now you can see your first post. You got your author, you got your date. We totally did this at 12:16 a.m. The heading, and we've got our ordered list. So we can now push these changes up to GitHub. I'm going to just open another one so I can leave this server up and going again. So let's take a look. You can see we've modified config YAML and we've added a new post. So we're going to do git add. We want all of these changes staged. So All right, add another commit message. Added first post. All right, we're going to push our changes here. Hop back up to our repository. Oh, you can see we've got 2 commits running now. Now, I'm going to tell you this now because it will save you a lot of frustration. Clear your browser cache or open this in a new window because browser cache will mess you up. If you push a change and it doesn't make a change and you're looking on it, you've built it locally, you know everything's there, and it is just not working, clear your browser cache. I spent way too long one day wondering why changes that I submitted were not there. But all right, yeah, so we have a website now with the first post, blah, 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 blah. And you can go see everything there. So you could stop right there. Well, I mean, obviously you want to put actual content for your for your blog, but we've got everything there. If you need to go add a new post, you could pop in here and create another one. And let's look. There's actually something really cool about this that you didn't realize was happening in the background. But if you take a peek under here, we're under the repository under actions. We used GitHub Actions to build this website. So here in the repository here, you can see these GitHub workflows pages deploy. So it's got this framework to that whenever you push it, you can see on push branches main, it's gonna run Jekyll build to build your website, and this is all happening up here. So if you ever push up a change and that isn't reflected and it's not browser cache, pop it in here. You might have some syntax issues with your post. So
Can you show us how you can create a PowerShell code block in Markdown?
a PowerShell code block? Sure. And it works for other things too. So bash. But yeah, we'll check this change out locally. Yeah. See. All right. So this, like I said, this is on our local machine. We could push it up, run GitHub Actions. But this is what this looks like here. All right. Now that is actually the first time we've mentioned PowerShell for PowerShell Wednesday in this presentation. Those are just kind of a little sad, right?
No, I don't think it's bad. I think that it just shows how PowerShell can be used and introduce you to so many ancillary technologies.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna bootstrap this and make things just a little bit different. I do something a little bit different for building mine. I do not come in here in VS Code and create these. I use an application called Obsidian. Have any of y'all used Obsidian before? It's a fantastic note-taking application. And let's see, I need to actually share out another screen because this is for the purpose of the demo of building a website here. I think I've covered what I want to go through. Now we're going to talk about PowerShell, using PowerShell to go from Obsidian to a Jekyll's static site and then pushing on up to GitHub pages. So it's going to take just a second. Is it cool if I stop streaming this one and bring it over to something else? All right, so I've got an Obsidian vault. And that sounds really fancy, but it's not. And this one's, I'm honestly scared to have ever shared like the one that I actually use for everything. This is a demo one to show everybody. But I put a lot of stuff in Obsidian because it's easy to search, it's easy to go through, everything's in Markdown, it's easy to pull from. It's fantastic. Everything that I just covered is actually on. Um, oh, ooh, let's see. Let me see if I just set my resolution. Is that a little bit better? Okay. So everything that I actually covered is on my blog. So deering.dev, you can go find that post. So everything we just walked through, I'll have another one coming out in a couple days, or maybe even later today. That's going to be what this next part is about. And that's using Obsidian to it's kind of like IT, what we use PowerShell for, and what we do is I kind of always see that we're the butter. We make things better. PowerShell makes our job better, but PowerShell is butter. And not just the country crap, not actual butter. We are the grass fed Kerrygold butter. It is the good stuff out there. So we are going to use. All right. I'm all over the place right now. So I've got this PowerShell script. Let's see. It's a little bit better. There's a lot going on in this. What it essentially does is it takes our vault, our GitHub vault, pushes everything over to the repository, make sure all the links are set, everything's set right. If you wanted to add images into your blog posts, it will make sure everything works that way, and then it pushes on up to GitHub. And so there's a couple little things that of note. Obsidian's out of the box Markdown, mainly around links, is a little bit different. So there's some settings that you want to change in your files and links here. We're using absolute paths in Vault, and you're going to want to set your attachments to go to somewhere. I'll show you the reason that is. So the way Jekyll will see actually, let me just pull up mine now. Jekyll will see an image referenced as they're looking for the path of where this image is going to be in the repository. And so if you use wiki links in GitHub or in Obsidian, your links are going to be broken. And so right now you see here's where my image is. So wiki links actually take this kind of a yeah. Well, I have everything set to be that. So it would be a format that is different than what Markdown, what is true Markdown. So you want to change some settings so that whenever you copy things over, it's gonna work. Let's see here. All right, so let's do a demo. This is not ready yet. This post, this will be my next post that I do. But I'm bringing it over from drafts to posts so I can kind of stage it for my own. And then we're gonna go over, pull up a command prompt. I've got this script that I'm gonna call. Accepts repo path as a parameter and vault path as a parameter. So it's gonna run through and so as you can see, checks our environment, make sure, hey, are you actually in a Git repository? Are you actually in an Obsidian vault? Are you, do you have Jekyll? And then it sees that I've got a new page here, and it looks in that page, that Markdown file, and sees the referenced images, and so it'll copy over those. And it now it's asking if we want to commit this. We've got just a default commit message here. And do I want to push this to the remote repository? Yes. This script is up on my GitHub during dev under Toolbelt repository. I'm working on adding more to this because it makes it really easy. Yeah. So as you see now, I'm going to go check on actions here because it is likely building. Yeah. So it's going to take a little bit for a build. And as I said before, check your browser cache. Yeah. And so it pulls on everything over. So let's go take a look at the repository that's in, just to get a little more, see the behind the scenes of what's going on. File, open, folder. Oof, yeah. Yeah. So in Markdown here, let's go to where we actually have an image. You see how that image is referenced here. Like I said, Obsidian by default does not reference images that way. And if you go straight from Obsidian without adjusting any settings, you won't have working images on your website. So I'm trying to build some more error handling into the script so we can catch those things. But setting up your Obsidian vault the first time really does help get everything. I initially set it up one way, and I was adding in path names, and that was not great. I wanted to keep the path names the same between those because what I kind of like about what I can do with the script is I can run a comparison between the file hashes to see. So say maybe I made a typo and I wanted to go back and change what I'm doing or update a post. So my first run through, I was just copying things over. If that file already existed, I didn't overwrite it. Or if I wanted to overwrite it, I could, but I wasn't overwriting. So I wanted to do a compare file hash for those to update those things. But yeah, so we've got our website up and going. We've got a post up there, everything going. Does anybody have any questions? This is really more of a demo of everything that's going with that. There are a lot of other things you could you could actually bypass this a little bit by just creating your vault in your repository. Just make sure you add everything to git ignore and do it that way. And then you wouldn't actually have to deal with the PowerShell script. But if you have a vault that you use that contains a lot of other information, you just don't want any chance of that information going over. Uh, I think handling it via that PowerShell script is a good way to do it. You can define where those items are and where everything is expected to be. There are some plugins that Obsidian has. Obsidian, the world is your oyster. There are so many community plugins for this that there's a ton that you can do. And like I said, if you're struggling with your own documentation or you're struggling just putting things on there, Obsidian is very approachable. So I recommend it. Out of the box, it's great. Plugins only make it better. My initial links were broken, and I found this plugin that significantly helped convert all of my existing links over to relative path ones, or it was absolute paths that I went to. Now it's absolute, so it's not true absolute paths. It's absolute paths within the kind of weird within the Obsidian directory. So it assumes Obsidian as the root and then goes from there. Because if you were going to have the absolute path, it would be C wherever this is, and relative path is relative from where it came from. All right. Anybody got any questions?
It's not quite a question, but I was wondering if you could open up a GitHub repository and press period to open up a GitHub workspace and show people how they can use VS Code from the web.
Sure. Yep. There we go. I typoed. You asked me to press one thing and I got it wrong. Anybody tell what I used to take screenshots based on the names? Mm, Good old snipping tool. It's nice if you're doing fast documentation. Uh, that was one of the reasons I use it. But though, I'm actually a Mac guy at work now. It's been a bit of a transition.
Josh, thank you so much for joining us today. If people liked what they saw and they want to connect with you online, where can we find you?
Yeah, LinkedIn. My name, Joshua Deering. I'm friends with Andrew on there, and a few of the PowerShell giants out there, and then on Blue Sky, Deering.dev there. Not really much. You'll have to ping me on there. I'm bad at scrolling through those things, so please hit me up if you need anything. I'm always happy to assist when I can. Like I said, I'm honestly pretty early on in my journey as well. But yeah, I've been around the Discord for some time now, so.
And that is PowerShell Wednesday. Thank you so much to Joshua Deering, aka Fortress, for joining us and teaching us today. This is his first time presenting, but gosh, it does not seem like it. That was quite polished. Appreciate all the effort he put in. And if you want to join us live, ask questions, get engaged, check us out on the PDQ Discord, discord.gg/PDQ, every single Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. We have not missed a Wednesday since starting, and we don't plan on it. And if you want to learn more about Josh, I actually did a full podcast interview with him that you can find on the PDQ YouTube or on the PowerShell podcast. Wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find us. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for joining us, and keep PowerShelling things, keep automating things, and taking yourself to the next step.